So we learn how to search for flows in different areas in our life, in our day-to-day life, in nature, in work, and now we move into another category, communication. How to have good flows in communication. There are several areas where I experiences in my life which are flow-like experience. That are flow-like experiences in communication, and we start with one of my favorite ones, mentoring. How does mentoring work? Most people will never have a mentor, or they will have a mentor very briefly, or it will be like a relative, a close friend, not someone with whom they build up a relationship that's based mostly on mentoring. Why is that? Because of a barrier that people have towards mentors. Because mentorship is a very deep thing, it's a form of love. Well, the mentor wants to just give all of his knowledge and experience to someone that he or she chose. And it's a very slow experience where there are no boxes, no guardrails, no certain time limits or no certain spaces where things happen. My relationship with my mentors, to whom I am very deeply thankful, they ranged from drinking together in the office in the evening to going around to different places, traveling together, and generally just me hanging around and learning stuff. The mentor wants only one thing from their student, their mentee. They want commitment, dedication. They don't want thank yous. They don't want financial returns. They only want to see someone succeed. And they're willing to provide frameworks, knowledge, experience. They're trying to do deep dives and provide a basis for intuition. And from the other side, from the student, they want dedication. They want to see that it will be worth it. Just like all forms of love, the effort of the mentor is not really an effort. It's just joy. And the mentor should be really, really happy and joyful about the process and should expect nothing in return, just like it's with all forms of love, like parenting and others, where you give a lot, you expect nothing in return, and it's a very flow experience. How do you find a mentor? The answer is you can't. The mentor finds you. Sorry to sound a bit like a Chuck Norris joke, but that's the actual way things happen. None of my mentors I have found. They found me. I was just happy to stick around and learn and appreciate. The mentor is letting all of their barriers down, letting all their barriers go. And the point is to just let the student dive into their head, into all of their experience and build their own intuition about something. About life in general, about people, communication, about an industry, about anything that might be valuable. The thing is that when I had my first mentor, I had a very strong barrier between myself and the world because I had my own internal problems, mostly because I was 13, but also because I wasn't enough emotionally intelligent. So the process went like this. My mentor would say something really wise and really like constructive, building my intuition, and then in return, I would argue. I would argue that this is not the specific case, that there might be some exception, that there might be something beautiful, that it's the other way around. So basically, I was given arguments of truth, of intuition, of where's the center of a problem, what are the main reasons, what are the main cause-effect relationships, and I tried to counter truth with beauty. This is something that we very often do, both individually and as a society. And the reason is that we are very biologically attracting to beauty for some reason, probably because it's there are seeds of creation there to create beautiful things. And because when we experiment with different things that have low chances of success, eventually our experiments can be successful, and then we double down on them. So even if in life you fail 10 times and you succeed once, you're still more successful than the person who never tried. And this was true when we tamed fire and built tools and hunted animals, and it's still true today, even more. But the thing is that in order to search for beauty, you need to have a foundation. You need to know the building blocks of everything, to have an intuition about things, how things work, and then you're allowed to search for beauty. Before, searching for beauty will only lead you astray of the main driving forces for everything. Because everything in life, with people, with work, in every area, has its driving forces, mostly from just the holistic origin about ideas, concepts, people, and other creatures fighting for their survival. Also, systems fighting for their survival and preservation. And all of these push and pull forces form the imperfect life that we all live in. First, we need to accept the way things are, the imperfections in everything, and the fact that almost everything is an emergent system and doesn't have a designer, and this is why it's so imperfect. And when we understand and accept, we can have a clarity of mind to try to change something for the better. Change ourselves, change a system, change society, change the world. Whatever you want to change, first you need to deeply understand it, intuitively understand, because only if you understand it intuitively, you can imagine its future trajectories. The role of the mentor is to try to pass as much of this intuition as possible to the student. And the role of the student is not to learn in this moment. It's just to accept raw information that is good for forming future intuition. Nothing deep can be learned fast because intuition needs time to build. And the worst thing you can do with your mentor is argue all the time. What I was doing when I was 13 because I did not know any better. Will the mentor be right about everything? Of course not. Humans have flaws, and even a good mentor will only be right like 80-90% of the time. Even the most genius people in the history of the world, people like Albert Einstein, they were not right about everything. And it's in human's nature to mostly be wrong. So you will have mentors who are right about most things, and you will have mentors that are wrong about most things. But from everyone, you can take something. Even from people who have a wrong concept about something, you can still learn how people come to have wrong concepts about things. And this intuition is just as valuable as any other. So while your mentor shares with you their deep concepts about life or whatever they're teaching you about, just drop your barriers and accept. Swallow everything. Time will show you what is right and what is wrong, but still, it will be much faster getting all the experience of someone else and filtering out the good from the bad, from the ugly in a year than having to live 30 or 40 or 50 years that this person lived and gathered this experience yourself. Life experience is precious, and this is what a mentor gives you. It's life experience. So there are people who are more open to receiving knowledge from external sources, and this is not the same thing as critical thinking. Having your initial filter open is good because then you get to get a lot of viewpoints, a lot of interesting concepts, and some of them will be good and some of them will be wrong. In critical thinking, you need then, on a second step, to question so that you don't just plainly believe in everything you hear, even if it sounds logical or even if there's very compelling storytelling involved. And then you divide the things that you believe in into things that are intuitively right, that your critical thinking cannot find any flaws in, and other things that are interesting as a concept, but only may be true. And in time, from those that may be true, you can distinguish between the ones that are true and the ones that sound pretty logical, neat, but that are actually false. If you are in the mentor role, this is a role that is about giving. It's destructive and simply impractical to expect someone from your student. Even the most basic things that most mentors expect, which is if the student becomes better in the field that they were mentored in, expect a certain level of gratitude. Even this, it's worthless to expect. There are all kinds of people, and you may receive gratitude or you may not receive, and just any expectations that you have will just hinder the free flow of knowledge. The least you expect, the more you're likely to get. I have mentored people and felt that my mentorship was a failure because people didn't change their life in positive ways. But then person comes to me after 4 or 5 years and says, wow, you helped me a great deal. Our conversation was so valuable. And I was like, what the fuck? You were arguing with me all the time. Yeah, but something stuck. And I really appreciate it. It really helped a lot. So even if it's not smooth, even if there are arguments, even sometimes there are conflicts with one of my mentors that I'm very thankful. I later had a very bad conflict, but then we settled it out, and potential conflicts or whatever happens after the mentorship do not take away the immense value that you can receive, because especially if we are younger and still closer to the blanker state than after years of experience, our course mentors, they influence the way that we view the world. And not just as in positive or negative, but more in a way of thinking. If you have a mentor who can teach you like building intuition or systemic thinking or such deep meta skills, or if you have a mentor who just teaches you how to never sit in one place, how to always progress, how to be a hunter, these skills are so valuable for young people because they have the whole life ahead to make use of them, so they can reach very far and beautiful and places simply of immense greatness. The mentor should be aware that it's economically risky to give all of your knowledge to someone who is younger, more eager, probably has more energy and drive and grit. It's highly probable that the student will overcome the mentor at some point, but not just overcome, but directly compete at some competitive sphere. Because in free market capitalism, the rarer your skill set is, the more you can charge for it, literally. Even if you create just one more person with the same skill set, you are doubling your competition at least, because they will offer the same types of services that you are, highly likely, and it's possible that this will lead to economic losses for you. So should this stop you from being a mentor? Should you be afraid that you might lose more than you win? Definitely no. Mentorship has a lot of hidden benefits for the mentor that are often overlooked. And there are people who mentored someone, then this person was ungrateful, they didn't appreciate the help that they get, then they become a direct competitor, and it's then the relationships become very sour, and the work is full of these stories. But this is because both sides weren't on the same page of what they were signing for, so to speak. The mentor didn't realize that this was not a transactional relationship. So, like all love-based relationship, they cannot be transactional. It shouldn't be transactional. They shouldn't search for symmetry in such a relationship. There can be no symmetry in a relationship between a parent and their child, because, of course, the parent will give much more for the child, and for the parent, the child has a responsibility not to the parent, but to their own children, just like it is in nature. And the mentor should not expect anything and should open up. And the student should should not feel the absolute transactional obligation to give back. It would be good to give back if there's a chance, but you should not feel obliged to give back, just like you should not feel obliged to give back to your parents everything that they gave you, because it's just not possible and you should not aim for impossible things. The mentorship should be a very flow process, one that every single decisions are just taken on the go, everything is spontaneous, and it's just an exchange of flows, energy, information, and concepts, ideas, intuition. And the mentor has a lot of hidden benefits from this. Here are some of them. Structurally, their own knowledge while sharing it. It's often that the mentor has years or tens of years of experience in a field and has very unique understanding of the field, but doesn't really know what they know. They have intuition, they can make decisions in any situation, but they cannot structure it and they cannot teach it. Mentorship, with its fluid structure, is the first step of turning the intuition into some structure. And then the mentor can use this structure to teach others, to write a book, to pass the knowledge to more people, and to do it in a more structural way that doesn't require the time and commitment that a mentorship requires. It's very strange to me to hear that people say, oh, I have a mentor, we see each other once a month. It was not like that with me at all and my mentors. We would see each other every day. I would be like this kid running after its mother and pulling her dress. Basically, I would spend any second I could with my mentor. Of course, I tried not to be annoying, but everywhere that my mentor would take me, to a trip, to a meeting, to a sales pitch, anywhere where they would tolerate my presence, I'd be there. And this is the way that you learn. You need some quantity to have data points for your intuition. Of course, the mentor can give value. You see each other once a month, but then it's not a mentor. It's simply a consultant who is happy to help you for free. True mentorship comes with very deep bonding in the intellectual level. So you should really know how you each other view things, and then you can understand each of your words. You can also read between the lines some things, and this is enough data points for your intuition. One nicking a month is not enough data points for your intuition. It's not diving deep enough from both sides. And then, of course, it has value, but you shouldn't call it a mentorship. You should just call it some form of self. True mentorship is about love, trust, and giving up control. And here are many of the benefits that come with that. We already said structuring, also brainstorming, but also just feeling pure joy in this process of giving, the joy of working with someone in your failure field, in your failure way. Even if you're a professor in a university, you have some constraints because some of your students are smart, but some of your students are dumb. So you have to lower your level a bit, and so everyone can understand if you're a good teacher. But if you get your smartest student to mentor, then you don't have to hold back anymore. You don't have to lower the level. You can do what you love at the highest level. And this is something that is extremely fulfilling if you love what you do. Another very big benefit of mentoring is that you have some way of thinking about things, and it's still likely that the student will challenge it, but the best way to challenge it is not with arguing like I did when I was 13 years old, but rather by asking tons of questions. So when you're mentoring someone and they ask the right questions, you can have your framework which you use to place knowledge in its place challenged, and you can improve it, because the right questions are always good for you to improve things that you are potentially deluding yourself about. Even if that's small details, they can still be improved when the right questions are asked. And if you are on the other side as a student and a mentor is explaining to you how this or that works, just ask any question that you can think of. Questions are what really builds the structure of knowledge and intuition. Any question you want to ask. Sometimes you will not be able to frame a question. And it's fine because you haven't still built the intuitive understanding about what is important and what to ask about. But even while you're in the process of building it, you can still ask questions that will be like, they will be very wrong grammatically, but the mentor will understand what you don't get. For example, you can say, I don't understand how this and this are related, or I don't understand how this works. Just try to point where your blanks are if you understand it. And never ever feel any shame about not understanding stuff. We are a work in progress and we always learn. When you accept that you don't know, that's the first step of learning. If you ask many questions, and even if you know, even if you don't know what to ask, there are always two universal questions that you can ask. You can ask how certain things make certain people feel, or you can ask, of course, the mentor how they feel about certain things. It is the main game of self questions, the ones that therapists ask all the time. How does this make you feel? And then there's the game of life questions, which is, what do you do all your day? What do you do any given point in time? These are the two questions that bypass all the bullshit in the world. Even if someone is bullshitting you about something, when you ask them, how does this make you feel? It's hard to bullshit your way around that. And even if someone is bullshitting you that they have the best job ever, it's the most challenging things, working with the best in the world, and then when you ask, what do you do all day? Well, I write emails. So this is the other bullshit bypassing question. Because if you ask what people do all day, you will see what decisions they make, how do they process information, both directions, in and out, and you will have pretty quickly an understanding of what they do, because most analytical work that is with data, where most of us work, it's not that different from each other. Just the flows data are different, but we do the same things. We communicate over chat and over meetings, in Zoom, in person. We write emails. We make lists of things. The same building blocks are everywhere. So if you want to know how an industry works, just ask someone working in this industry, potentially your mentor, what do you do all day? And then you will see how these building blocks, with which you're probably already familiar, how they match to this industry. Mentoring has the same structure as the unpopular forests. You go in there and you don't know what to expect. It can be the best or the worst, but it's a flow experience, one where you give up control. Mentoring someone is a great way to feel happy and to progress. And just in general, teaching is one of the best ways to develop your knowledge. If you want to see if your knowledge is deep enough, teach, because only if your knowledge is deep and intuitive, you will be able to explain it in simple terms, which is the most important skill in teaching. Explain things simply. If you want to see how most mentorship usually look like, you can watch the movie Peaceful Warrior, which is about a mentorship process, and you can see how chaotic the process was, how unsure the student was about the mentor's methods, about how they structured things, or rather that things didn't have any structure at all. And you should be prepared for chaos in mentorship. Chaos, lots of data points, intuition building, and no barriers. Mentorship is about accepting first and then sorting later. If you want to check out more videos about my views on mentorship, education, and similar topics, like, subscribe, of course also comment your views, ring the bell, and I'll see you again.